If psychology is an art, I'd say salespeople are artists. I say so because on an average, a salesperson talks to about 30 to 50 people on daily basis. In these people, he has to find their interests, their problems, their pain point, and all this is done using psychological techniques. Now, psychological techniques is the keyword here, and that is what I'll be telling you about in this video. Hey there, this is Sanadh Srivastava from MyOperator, one of India's leading call management services providers who help you to sell more and serve more. Before you move on forward with the video, make sure you hit the subscribe button as well as press the bell icon so that you can get our latest updates firsthand. Now let's get straight to the point. I'll tell you 5 psychological techniques that you can use to improve your sales and marketing efforts. Technique number 1 is know your customer. Give me an honest answer. How many of you honestly know what exactly is your client looking for before you call them? I'd say 70 to 80% salespersons are not aware about what their client wants before they pick up the phone. Now, why this is important is because since you don't know what your client is looking for, you start probing while on the call. You ask him certain questions, try to get to the pain point, and that may or may not happen in the first call itself. And by the time you are through with the calls, maybe 2 or 3 calls, by that time the client might lose interest or somebody else might crack him before you do. Now, what you can do in order to improve this situation is to know your customer before you call them. You need to do some background check, or rather, as we call it, you need to do client profiling. You need to check what his company is all about, what are the major problems of his industry, the common problems that people of his cadre face, so that you can start your conversation with that and keeping the specifics of the industry in mind. That way, you will show interest in your customer and he will show interest in your product. See, everybody is looking for somebody to understand their problems, and if you do that, your customer is definitely going to be impressed. So the next time you speak to a client, make sure you have researched about them on the internet, about their industry, about their problems, and then you get to the call with them. Moreover, keep one thing in mind. People are out there with their money to buy your product. What they don't want is you selling it to them. So when you keep that in mind, you try to sell your product without essentially selling it. Instead, you try to portray your product as a solution to the problems of your client, and they themselves will want to buy it. Technique number 2, honesty is the best policy. Now, before you start wondering why am I quoting something that you have learned in your pre-primary classes, let me just get straight to the point. What I'm trying to tell you is that as a salesperson, you shouldn't be hideous with your client. You shouldn't be too cheesy or boastful about your product as well. See, what it does is show that you are a deceiving and conniving person or a conniving brand. And that is where you will lose your client because he will not be able to trust you. I'm not telling you to share your trade secrets with the client, but I'm definitely asking you to tell him everything that he must know before he should purchase a product. Think about it yourself. Won't you as a customer want to know everything about a product before you purchase it? Won't you want to know the pros and cons, how it will benefit you, how it will not, what can it do and what it cannot before you purchase it, so that you know what exactly are you getting into? See, that is exactly what your client is also looking for. And if you behave like a good salesperson and tell him everything that he needs to know, he is surely going to buy the product from you. Also, make sure that you are clear with your communication, because half of the time refunds occur not because the client is not satisfied, because he gets to know something which he didn't know earlier. Then he starts feeling betrayed by the salesperson or the company, or it may be that he misunderstood a particular communication or thought that a feature would help him when it doesn't. Also, try to be as clear as you can in the communication with your client, because half of the time when the client is asking for refund, it's not because that he didn't like your product. It's actually because he feels betrayed and he feels that he cannot trust the company or the salesperson because he didn't get the right information in the first place. Technique number 3, create urgency. See, think about all the products that you have in your cart right now. That can be Amazon cart, that can be Flipkart cart, that can be your Big Basket, Zomato cart, whatsoever. However, you must have something or the other selected but not yet purchased from that platform. And that is because you may not be feeling the urgency or the necessity to do it at that particular moment. Similarly, when you're talking to a client, you need to create a sense of urgency, and you can do that by creating necessity. You need to tell your client how they are losing out on certain things if they are not buying your product as soon as possible. You need to create that sense of loss in order to generate that sense of urgency which will incite them to buy your product. You can also create urgency by giving limited period offers, limited edition offers, all of that which has the word limited, time bound or for limited period, because that is how people will start thinking that if they don't buy the product right away, they might lose out on a great opportunity. Technique number 4, color coding. Now this one is majorly for the marketing team because they are the ones who are making the brand guidelines, brand identity and the advertisements that are running on all the social media. See, every brand has a particular identity and a color associated to it. And let me tell you, colors appeal very differently to different people. Also, every color has a different vibe to it. For example, green makes people feel that the product is natural, whereas red makes people feel a sense of urgency. Blue makes them feel reliable and white makes them feel full of care. So that is why Dove is white, American Express is blue, Zomato is red and Starbucks is of course green. That's how brands are playing with colors and the psychology of their TG. And if you want to tap in the power of colors, you need to do some A/B testing with different colors across your TG. You need to see which colors get the maximum response and then use them further in your ad campaigns and creatives. On the other hand, you can work from a different end and already select your TG, look for what sort of colors will influence that TG and then use those colors in your branding. Put it however you like, colors are not just for kids and artists to play with, they are also for marketeers. Technique number 5. Social is crucial. You need to generate some social proof for your product, and the best way to do it, use customer testimonials. Show the world that people are buying your product, they are using it, they are liking it, and they are ready to tell the world about their association with your product and your company. Also, make social media posts that connect with your TG and the type of audience that you want to sell to. Lastly, you can also have employee engagement posts as well as posts that show the values of your company, because some people want to be associated with a particular brand, and before they give their loyalty to you, they need to know what sort of a company you are. All of this can be done using social media, using Instagram, using LinkedIn, using Twitter, using Facebook, using YouTube as well as we are doing. But end of the day, you need to have social proof to validate that your product is good enough for people to buy it. That's all guys. These are the 5 psychological techniques that you can use in order to improve your sales and marketing effort. And if you have some more to say, do mention them in the comments below. If you like the video, give it a thumbs up and definitely subscribe to MyOperator's YouTube channel in order to get more such videos. And follow us on LinkedIn if you want to have some good infographics regarding cloud communications, call management systems and sales.